Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior Watts programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior Watt is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share some of your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show. All right. Welcome to our Sunday evening after dinner show. I hope your weekend has been awesome and you accomplished everything you're supposed to do on your God-given days off. If these were your days off, if this wasn't your weekend and you worked through the weekend, hopefully you had a productive day at work. We'll start the show off by paying respects to my Aunt Denise, who passed yesterday, 70 plus years old. She left her 2 sons and 3 grandchildren behind. She was a great aunt and always there for us when we were growing up, and she will be missed. Once I know her arrangements, I will be making that ride up to the church to at least pay respects in the best way I can. So with that, tonight we have a special guest coming to us from the other side of the world, really. He's the founder of Depth Healing Technology, has been studying and training in his multidisciplinary crafts of health, quantum science, personal development, the areas of awakening, business success, and goal achievement, psychology, stress, athletic performance, and marital prowess, consciousness and brain research, classical Japanese sword, Zen, Aikido, oneness, and Diksha, energy psychologies, brain reprogramming, military science, quantum biology, ecosystems, and spiritual mystical experience for over 51 years. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. G. Rex or Grant Kruhly to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Grant.
Hello, Rick. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. First and foremost, I want to offer my condolences for you. And then before we get started, I just want to say something, because if there's anyone on earth I love, is military. And I've been honored to teach and train a hell of a lot of military men in my day, and I was trained by them. With depth healing, I remove post-traumatic stress syndrome. I don't cope. It's not coping. It's not helping. I remove it. I just want you to know that. I have never found a case of post-traumatic stress syndrome that I couldn't disintegrate, because depth healing is a completely different kind of technology. So I go straight into the subconscious, where that, what we call sympathetic emotional memory override is, and I disintegrate it, and it's gone, done. I just want you to know that, because it's such a horrible thing. And if any of the guys need me, just give me a call.
Outstanding. Thanks, Grant. I was going to let you give a little more about you from as far back as you wanted, because I just gave basically a lot of big words that I really didn't know how to pronounce. I was hoping I was hitting them all correctly there. And if you'd like to just give us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how you got on this path to where we are now.
Okay, so I'm a I'm a different kind of guy. I'm a Canadian, born and raised in Windsor, Ontario. Simple family. My dad was a boxer in World War II, chief petty officer in the Canadian Navy, and then tough as nails. His parents were right from Poland. My mom was a wonderful lady, just a stay-at-home mom. And when I was born, I already came into this life. I knew what my purpose was, and I knew why I was here and everything else, and that was to help people and remove suffering and try to save people as much as I possibly can. But when I turned 6 and I went into grade 1, I failed. They failed me because the public school didn't mean anything to me, and the teacher hated me. And unfortunately, my father was a very proud man. I was his oldest first son, and he didn't know how to handle that emotionally. So from the age of 6, for the rest of my life, the family just rejected me, and I walled myself up because I didn't know what to do. I was humiliated at school and everything. So I became a tough guy because I saw in the movies the people who always were respected or loved were the heroes. So I became a fighter, and by grade 8, I could hammer the hell out of anybody in the school. So I started formal training at the age of 13, and by 19 in Japanese martial craft, I became the student of a world-class master, and I started to serve. I don't want you to confuse me with regular martial arts. I serve the craft, and I'm trained to carry the craft for the next generation. So I'm always serving and self-sacrifice, always, just like a first responder, always for duty. I carry 3 samurai lineages on my shoulders, and they're the real lineages. I don't have anything to do with competition of any kind whatsoever. So emotionally, I started off rough, and then I found my second father in the big teacher that I served for a great many years. But I broke my back in half when I was 27. Weight training. I was getting ready to move to Japan because I was angry, and I was I grew up angry, So my back broke in half, and I didn't get to move to Japan. I healed the back in 12 weeks using meditation, but it took nearly 3 years to undo all of the we call coping. It's like your nervous system, when you're hurt like that, you can heal it, but while you're hurt, your body adapts in all kinds of neurologic ways, biomechanic ways. I had to undo all that stuff. So I started learning about healing and how to be a healer from being severely injured. Nevertheless, I still attended every single class, 4 hours a day, every single day, for studying my craft. Nothing will ever shift me off my purpose. So eventually I healed that, and I got myself back in semi-Olympian shape, and I moved to California. I left Canada to California, and I built the Dosatsu Ken Dojo. At the Dosatsu Ken Dojo, that's where I taught NASA scientists. That's where all the military guys found me. All divisions that I'm aware of: Force Recon, Special Ops, a lot of Marines, love Marines. Air Force. Moffett Field was just down the road from my dojo, so was NASA, because my dojo was in Mountain View, California. And all kinds of wonderful people came through my doors, and we did non-commercial real training. And I helped alcoholics and battered women, gave shelter to the homeless. So that was my work. But what knocked the wind out of me for the first time in my life, right at 2000, the year 2000, the landlord died, had a heart attack. And his son wanted, my dojo was huge. He wanted it for a .com company. So he broke the lease illegally. And I lost, in 2 weeks, I was homeless because I lived in the dojo. I was homeless, lost all my work, everything was gone, just gone. And that knocked the wind out of me. I didn't think anything could take my dojo away from me. So it took me 2 years. And during that 2 years, we sued that guy and we beat him. And I got a certain amount of money. And during that time, I was really lost. I mean, for the first time in my life since I had been born, I lost my sense of direction. And I searched for what to do. And so because I'd always been a healer or had healing capacity, I took the money and went back to school to become a chiropractor. I have virtually no use for medical allopathic medicine whatsoever. So all of the greatest doctors, and I know most of the greatest that ever lived, I studied with George Goodhart Jr., founder of Applied Kinesiology, for 16 years. I studied under Donald Epstein, the founder of Network Chiropractic. I studied under his two top boys, Dr. Lance Wright and Jeff Britton. They're the best in the world. I studied for 4 years directly under Bob Rakowski, mentoring me. Bob is a world famous doctor who saves thousands and thousands of lives from cancer. He's in Houston, Texas. And I knew I had a chance to study directly under Ted Morter, the founder of BEST, who built the foundation of the system I use to deal with the subconscious mind. And I apprenticed for 8 years under Larry Habersky, his greatest student, in Georgia. And that's where I learned the basis of the quantum field and consciousness. Meanwhile, I had gotten married in Texas. Marriage was a homunculus. I know all kinds of stuff. I got all kinds of titles, but I couldn't make a dime. And I couldn't understand why. I went to all those big seminars. I can lecture you verbatim: Tony Robbins, John Assaraf, Brendan Burchard, Bob Proctor. I couldn't make a dime. Didn't understand why. And it was Larry Habersky who taught me cognitive dissonance. And he started see me anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week for the next 8 years. He was removing the cognitive dissonance because I grew up under my dad, very strong lack consciousness. And all of that, once I explained to you how the subconscious mind is programmed and how it works, cognitive dissonance will always win. There is no way to beat cognitive dissonance unless you remove it. You can only overlay it with brain reprogramming about 40%, but the dissonance is not gone. With depth healing, dissonance is gone. I find it, it's gone. I can disintegrate it. I do that using two different kinds of frequencies. To disintegrate it, you use destructive interference waves, and to build up the system and reorganize the brain, you use constructive interference waves. So I had become a master of transferring energy over distances, and one day in Georgia, a couple called me from, I was living with my wife. My wife was the only reason we had any money at all. She's a very successful physical therapist. I, on the other hand, was angry, resentful that I couldn't make money and take care of my wife as a man is supposed to. So the phone rings. I'm in my sacred chamber altar room, and it's a couple from New York. Now, this is about, 2013, somewhere in there. And it's a man and his wife. His wife is dying of metastasized cancer, and he had developed MS. He was 2 years into MS. And I said to him, folks, I don't know how you found me, because I had no advertising. I said, I don't know how you found me, but you're in New York and I'm over in Beaufort, Georgia. So how am I supposed to help you? And just then I heard the divine tell me in no uncertain terms, he said, no, you can heal them from here. And I can? Yeah, you just apply the frequencies from there. So I took it on, and I was able to stop the MS right away. No problem at all. The lady was filled with cancer, and I started on her real strong, but her oncologist, of course, said there's no such thing as energy healing. So she stopped. She listened. They're very compelling with the way they talk. And she was dead in a month. And that was the last I heard of them. But that's how depth healing started. Until that day, I had never dreamed that I could transfer across a long distance. I knew I could transfer like from my hand into your body, but I didn't know I could transfer across the world. Now I take care of people all over the world right from here. As long as I can see you, I can take care of you. And I change everything and anything. Doesn't make any difference what it is. I re-engineer their entire life for them. That's so has it been easy? Hell no. I got divorced when I was madder than hell. I was so angry for so many years. If you know what epigenetics is, I developed breast cancer. They had to cut it out of me in 2014. It was only about that big, but it was a slow growing estrogen cancer in my right chest. And it was from the anger. I mean, I literally lived in a state of rage. And so what had happened was by 2014, almost all of the cognitive dissonance was gone. Most of my anger was right down. So the cancer showed itself. They just cut it out. No medicines, no chemo, no nothing. Just cut it out. It's gone. And then I moved here. I had a very powerful spiritual situation occurred for me in 2014. And within a couple of months, I took a small $5,000 loan, didn't have anything else, and I moved to Thailand to rebuild my life. Left my wife, left all my pets, which I cried over for 3-4 years. And I came here. And now I'm a very wealthy man by Thai standards. I would be considered a millionaire. And my life is complete service to the divine specifically. I'm no longer serving the martial way. I don't have students or anything. I'm strictly working to help this world because the world's in a lot of trouble.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yes, that
Yeah.
little turmoil, I'd call it. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty big journey you did there, and from your upbringing with your mom and dad. Basically, they were first generation in North America, really, and the dad a boxer, and I think that kind of led to you getting that fight mentality when you were in eighth grade-ish, and acting out and being able to pound people down. So that's something that probably came genetically or hereditarily down the line there, that both of you could fight. You watched your dad probably box a little bit in the house. He probably taught you and your other
I
brothers
never
a little
got
bit.
to see by the time I was older, my dad had developed a really bad bleeding ulcers. But I heard all the stories from my grandpas and my aunts and uncles, and my dad. I made my dad mad when I was my brother and I were fighting, and my dad had built our house, and he built it to last for the length of the earth, right? So he puts the 2x4s like this close together, and then he's got 2 inches of plywood running across, right? And then he's got the plaster. So mom got in between dad and I. In his frustration, this is when he's lost his health a long time. He put his fist right through the wall.
Wow.
So have you ever tried to break a hole through plywood?
Not successfully, yeah.
That's power. And that's
Yes.
him when he was like he died from cancer when he was only 64.
Wow.
He was probably in his 40s or 50s and he lost most of his health. He was an electrician. He was a real good man. He just didn't have any in his subconscious mind. He grew up in what you would call the ghetto during the Great Depression. So we always had everything, but in dad's mind, and what I inherited is you're just seeing lack and worry and fear all the time. That's what gave him the bleeding ulcers, and then he smoked millions of cigarettes, and then it killed him.
Definitely, and that generation, that's something they did. The smoking thing was a cool thing to do and to fit in. So that didn't help, of course, especially back then. They didn't know anything about what they were making and smoking. So it really hurt them. We already got a question from one of the audience here.
Yeah.
From Jake Holland. How does your approach differ from faith healing performed by charismatic Christian churches?
Oh, well, that's a beautiful question. I also do that, honey.
Thanks, Jake.
Is this a man or a lady?
It's a man.
It's a man. Sorry, bud. So the faith healing is marvelous. So with faith healing, you're receiving grace directly from the divine. Nothing's going to beat that. In my case, what I do is I remove any kind of block or disbelief or interference for them to receive the grace. And then at the end of my sessions, I give Diksha. What is Diksha? Diksha is like a form of faith healing. I have the empowerments and authority to channel the divine through my hands into you. And everybody I treat receives Diksha. I don't have anything to do with that. Actually, I don't have anything to do with anything. I'm strictly a channel. Nothing special about me, except that I know how to do that. And I'm empowered to do that. What does empowerment mean? Empowerment means that the person empowered has been conditioned and adjusted to be able to channel those frequencies through their body non-destructively. If you're not properly conditioned and empowered, you can get hurt real bad. Now, not by faith healing, because the divine that's all divine only. But the problem is, as you well know, if you look at Jesus, he was all love, but they still killed him because the Romans don't give a damn about Jesus. They don't believe in him. And the way the divine has made us, it will not override free will or a belief system. It won't do that. So what I do is they come to me and I'll find out where and when and what it is. I can locate with surgical precision all the way to the moment of your conception. And then I will remove it. Then the divine pours straight into them and they receive their grace. I do everything by grace. That's the only way I live. That's why I'm on this show right now. I'm not like a businessman or anything. I have an admin now that arranges stuff, and because I can afford that, and as I was telling Rick, I can hardly operate my computer. I lived off grid as a sensei in California for 11 years. I never had a cell phone till 2002. I'm not from this generation whatsoever. So does that answer your question? I love questions. Please ask all the questions you want, folks.
Jake said thank you. Okay, thank you. He understood, so that's good. I'm going to go back to right when you first came on camera. You talked about the disintegrating PTSD from those who suffer from it.
Yeah.
And I know you've talked about destructive interference or constructive interference to build someone back up, destructive to destroy the bad vibes, I guess. Can you go a little more in depth on how you do that?
Yeah.
A lot of our listeners are veterans. A lot of listeners are first responders who see a lot of stuff and have a lot of PTS in them. How can we help them?
Okay. Well, I can really remove it. And here's how we do that. Okay. So what is post-traumatic stress syndrome? If we want to look into it from a quantum physics perspective or a very high cutting edge science perspective. The acronym I use for post-traumatic stress syndrome is a sympathetic emotional memory override. It's an override. It's in the sympathetic nervous system, and it's like a movie. How does the movie get developed? This is the whole human dilemma. Subconscious mind records information at 40 million bits of information per second. 40 million bits of information per second. Frontal cortex is ultra weak. It's almost nothing. It only processes 40 bits of information per second. The frontal cortex is so slow, it takes 1.4 seconds to respond. That's why the tactical area of response for an officer, an armed officer, is 31 to 32 feet, because an adversary can run and stick a knife in your throat from 21 feet away in 1.4 seconds. And so it's the way the brain works. So this thing is very slow, and it's only operating a maximum of 5% of the day. Subconscious mind is running everything. The original, the fundamental strata of your subconscious database is formed and finishes at the end of your 6th year of life. 40 million bits of information per second from the womb through your life. None of that information belongs to you. It's mom and dad and everything and anything in the environment where you lived, recorded at that kind of detail. That's the fundamental software. This frontal cortex activates at the age of 7. So you go at the age of 7, you shift from a theta brainwave pattern into a alpha brainwave pattern. But the frontal cortex, as it experiences or learns anything, references everything back for perception, for value, for importance, through its database that doesn't belong to you. So that's where the cognitive dissonance is born. So what happens when you get post-traumatic stress syndrome is you get a big emotional hit, a big shock. Now, normally your brain and the way we're designed, it processes and filters out. It's like a deletion machine. So like Tony Robbins will say, if you're focusing on how happy you are, you're deleting everything that could make you unhappy. Most of it is deletion. And you experience only what you focus on. So when the big emotional shock hits, or the big shock hits, that's what you focus on. And it's heavily laid in emotion. Emotion is the strongest energy. So what happens is in post-traumatic stress syndrome, the movie locks. It locks and it's there. Any kind of environmental trigger can turn the on button. As soon as it turns the on button on, your entire system floods with the neuropeptides, we call neuropeptides, that encode that original experience. And your whole body and mind and everything goes there. It doesn't matter if the trauma happened 60 years ago. And no amount of other stuff will make it just disappear. So what I do is, all I have to do, if you know what a destructive interference wave is, if you look it up on Google, destructive interference waves, when they hit each other, so this hand is the post-traumatic stress syndrome. You saw the flash of the bomb and then your buddy was blown to pieces, something like that. And you saw it, you focused on it, and you were there, and you love that guy, and it's there. So that's let's say that's this one. It has a series of frequencies. The frequencies are the actual program. It's encoding that information, and it's encoded in photons of light, held together in an electromagnetic field. It's its own little data. Its own little cloud. Over here, I have a destructive interference wave. When those two meet, they're exactly opposite of each other, and they cancel to zero. They cancel to zero. Now, for you military folks, for first responders, the post-traumatic stress syndrome might be in many, many, many layers, and then they can build on each other. What I would do is I go in directly into your mind. I just have you rethink that situation. You don't have it, no hypnosis. I'll do it from here. You can be, I don't care if you're on Mars. And I'll go straight into your subconscious. I'll find it, the first original moment, and I will disintegrate it. I will disassemble it layer by layer, part by part. And when we get to zero, it's gone. And when I say gone, I mean it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore relative to the way we're looking at it. So I've dealt very successfully with post-traumatic stress syndrome thus far with things like rapes, real bad torture, sexual torture, but I have not yet had the opportunity to work with the first responder, and I'd be very honored to do that. It's very easy for me. It's enormously fast. You don't need meds and you don't need any of that. I just go straight in, and then the universe doesn't like a gap. So when I'm removing those things, your brain will be reorganizing. To reorganize so that you grow and you heal, your body, your system, your consciousness will tell me which constructive interference wave is going to build you up. A constructive interference wave, when they meet each other, they magnify, they grow. So what I do is I remove and I build you up, remove, build you up, remove, build you up. And I shut that thing off. I'm going to hit the delete and the off button. And it really works. Be happy to prove that anytime, any place, anywhere.
So for military folk, it's like kind of like going to basic training again. You get beat down and then built back up. You're broken and then built back up. So he breaks down the
And I do
source
it in
of the
real
issue.
time, Rich.
Yeah, right.
It happens
Without
in
all
real
the sweat
time.
and pain. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens right there, right then. The reason that happens, they've done the studies now and it's accepted in peer-reviewed science. If you take a medicine or a supplement, you receive 1% of the signal, 1%. The other 99% is lost in the heat of the metabolizing whatever it is you put in your body. When you have an energy transfer like I do, if you have a good Reiki master, if you have anyone that does energy healing, you receive 100% of the signal. That's why it's this fast.
We have another question from the audience. They want to know if you can, if your methods can fix those who are like, if they have a anti-meat allergy or any kind of allergy, really. Someone who's been afflicted by some kind of syndrome. Can you fix that through this method as well?
I've had complete success with COVID, shedding, chronic Lyme's disease, brain diseases. Generally, allergies should be able to work on it. I've worked with a number of different allergies and had fine success. The trick is how to find it. We just have to go in real carefully. Anything that is, if there's something like that I can't affect strongly, we'll know right away. I'm very well connected with some of the finest metabolic specialists in the world, like Bob Rakowski. I just will refer them over. I'll do the energetics, and Bob can give you the supplementation or whatever to hit it on a physiologic level. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's a two-prong attack for that, really.
Yeah, sometimes that's very necessary. Eh? Like for instance, if you want to get rid of inflammation, well, first of all, if you're not protected completely from Wi-Fi, you'll never get rid of inflammation because Wi-Fi creates inflammation. How does that do it? We are all biologic systems of any kind are made to have a negative charge. Wi-Fi destroys that. In order to remove inflammation, you must have enough electrons. If you don't have the electrons, you cannot get rid of the inflammation. So you need two things there. Now I can send you a frequency and I can change your physiology. But always remember three things: frequency, duration, and intensity of a stimulus. I do a session with you and you feel great. And then after a while, you feel terrible. Why? Wi-Fi is a 365 days a year, 24/7 frequency. You're hit with it all the time. Wi-Fi kills anything that is alive. Trees, plants, insects, everything. Nothing can sustain, no biologic system can handle Wi-Fi. It's like microwaves. So what you do is, if you go to my website, I only endorse a couple of things that actually work. This is a technology developed by a scientist in Germany. And I saw, the reason I got it for myself, I saw the double-blind experiments by a third-party biophysicist who tried to discredit this thing. He used live tissue samples. This radiates electrons. It's got a liquid inside it. It's charged for 4 to 6 years. This one, this size, weighs about as much as a bottle of beer, and it radiates electrons in an 8-foot radius. So where I'm living right now at my wife's house, she's got 2 towers over there, and she's got a tower behind. No Wi-Fi can enter my body. If it can't enter my body, it cannot disrupt my physiology. Number 2, you need to be grounding every day. What is grounding? Just means that you absorb electrons. That's why I spend, I live in Thailand, so I always do it just bare feet on the ground. And the way you're designed, you absorb electrons from Mother Earth, because Mother Earth, the entire biosphere is a negative charge. So when you do that, you will absorb the electrons. The Wi-Fi protector protects you. And of course, now that they've weaponized all of their 5G towers and everything, the number one thing to have to protect yourself against all of their advanced technology is Wi-Fi protection. And you can get a little unit and you put it in your pocket. It's like the size of a wall, like size of a phone. You put it in, it has a 3-foot radius. I don't go anywhere without it. It's in my pocket. Now, what does Wi-Fi do? Wi-Fi breaks single and double strand DNA in half. That's every cancer under the sun, folks. And that's only 4G. It causes 3 different types of dementia. It attacks and is absorbed by water and oil. You're made out of water and oil. It wipes out all of the neuroendocrine system through the pituitary. And the pituitary reads Wi-Fi as light. So it knocks out the proper production of melatonin, which is a master hormone. We need Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi is your number one enemy. So my frequency, to answer the original question, yes, I can do things, but you need to be energy sophisticated nowadays, because we're living in a sci-fi movie and it's real. There is nobody that is going to escape it. So you got to have a certain amount of energy sophistication. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I work with energy all the time, so I understand what you're saying. And so does Jake. We use energy in our daily job to help our client understand things and survive on the modern battlefield. So
awesome. That's
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you can give the audience maybe 3 tips of ways they could better their lives as they move forward, what would that be?
I certainly can. So this is what I teach all my people. Sit and I want you to understand right now you're in what the most powerful month conceivable. You just ended the big solar eclipse. Okay. Number 2, the lunar eclipse is on the 28th. So now we're actually in between. The vortex began before the solar eclipse. Notice that the war started right at the inception of this vortex. And there's going to be more stuff's going to happen. And it's because of the enormous power that goes on with this stuff. We call the solar program the 7th program. There are 10 programs total. So the solar program is enormously powerful, and this one is directly geophysically located right into the United States. So you're right in there. Now, what is it doing? Well, the solar eclipse especially hits men. It hits the solar plexus, and it shakes up your self-confidence, makes you really, really tired, it can make you very depressed, self-doubt. It causes arguments and disagreements and things like betrayal. It stirs up mud with a stick. If you're at a high level of consciousness, it'll magnify the higher level of consciousness. But if you're in a lower fear-based or lack-based consciousness, it can really cause a lot of trouble. We don't leave this vortex. It won't be gone until November 8th. Now, this is also a super blessed month. Just yesterday, millions, perhaps billions of people are all acknowledging and doing ceremonies for the goddess to bring wealth, specifically wealth, all forms of wealth. It's very, very powerful. All of the world and all of the universe operates from morphic fields. Morphic fields determine everything. What's morphic fields? It's a numbers game. That's why this fake pandemic garbage has power, because all they did was use brainwashing for many decades. Then they just initiate something that causes unified fear, and then everybody just they're just operating on automatic. It's a morphic field. So the Google Cloud is a morphic field, an electromagnetic field that encodes information in photons of light. That's all that is. Okay. I'm able, with depth healing, if I have 100,000 people in front of me, I can alter all of their problems relative to a single question for all of them at the same time, because I can operate in the cloud. And from the cloud, it's a feed forward, feed backward system. Now, for you guys to make your life go forward, sit down quietly with a pen and paper, not a computer, pen and paper, blue ink, and put your life into sections. Your home, your work, your health, your lover, husband, wife, the kid. Make sections. And then one by one, write down and think carefully, what are my let's say 5 core values that have to be there in that area for me to be happy, for me to be healthy, for me to feel secure. What has to be there? And it's values, which means there's qualities. It's not just things. It's what the thing represents or causes you to feel. Okay. Now, once you have each one of those areas, you've identified your values. Now you have direction and you have a basis for making decisions. So you look at that area, and your job is to step by step make that area congruent with your values. If you don't do that, what do you have? Compromise. Nobody's happy when they're compromised. If you make your life fit your core values, you will have flow and you will have power. Number 2, if ever there was a time to look for grace, to understand what grace is, and to make your relationship with your divine, whomever or whoever, whatever that is, God, angels, God, it doesn't make any difference to the divine. The divine will always come to you on your own terms. That's the secret there. You delineate how you want your relationship and how the divine responds to you. And always remember that there's no such thing as judgment. That's all a bunch of horse. Only thing that judges anything is us. And we're judging because that's the subconscious programming, and it's got its own voice. It's called the inner dialogue. As you become more and more conscious, you'll be able to see the inner dialogue. I see mine, and it's just this angry little man that doesn't want to have anyone tell me what to do. And I see it, and once you can see it, it'll start to shut its mouth, and it starts to calm down. So your values, to find out how to live your life and how to make it organized. Make a relationship with the divine and always seek grace. Nothing actually happens without grace. People can think that they're doing everything all on their own, and that's fine. But that's not really true. We're really small in the big scheme of things. And let's see, what would be the third one? Third one is become energy savvy. Get Wi-Fi protection. It's the greatest investment you'll ever have. Never be without it. If you have graphene oxide in your body, if you have the fake vaccine in your body and they turn on the right frequency, you'll drop dead exactly where you stand. No questions asked. 26.5 gigahertz for graphene oxide, you're gone. Some of my friends are already dead, and there's millions of them dying. They're playing hardball, folks. So you got to be smart and do things like grounding. Make sure you have there is one other thing I should say. Try to completely police what's going into your mind. They are using very, very sophisticated brainwashing, cognitive warfare technology. You can see it in this new gender becoming the transgender, whatever the hell they want to make. All of that is cognitive warfare, brain reprogramming, brainwashing. And it's so easy to do because the nature of, just like I know how to take stuff out of your negative stuff out of you, they know how to put negative stuff into you. So the media, this kind of media, yes, watch, study, but for whatever you do, disengage from the rest. See, I never read a newspaper in my life. I've never been affected by anything of the modern world. I've only studied under masters all my life. I have over 50,000 hours just in Aikido alone. I never was part, so I'm not brainwashed. That's why I can do what I do. And I understand what I understand. Because I study from living people. I have the PhD and all that stuff. But that's what a waste of money and time. The main thing is to learn. We say, when I studied knife fighting under Michael Robert Pick of the United States Marines, he used to say, iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. Learn heart to heart, person to person, and be very selective, folks, because they're playing hardball. They're not fooling around. Why do you think they have 5G towers around the entire globe? Just so you can have fast Wi-Fi? No. And all this stuff. If you get anything like, Coach, just get a hold of me. I can eliminate it like that. I have, awesome. And it's not necessary. They have the science. All this stuff I'm talking about, they know. They've known for 100 years. It's just that they don't do it because they don't make money. They keep all of this other garbage in place so they can make money. That's why. So someone like myself, that's the way I am. I just, to hell with them. I made this system, and anyone comes to me, I'm going to do my best for them.
Awesome. Thanks for those tips, Grant. How does someone get in contact with you? You keep saying people can call you, reach you. What's the best way to do that?
Go straight to the website, folks. It's one word, depthhealing.org, not .com, .org. And you can get a hold of me directly right there. Depth Healing in Instagram. I have a lot of videos that I do all the time there. You can get a hold of me there. You can get a hold of me at WhatsApp. You'll find all of that with the website. My admin's an ex-Marine, great guy, and he makes that website, takes care of it for me, and now I do everything myself for you. Okay,
awesome.
You talk to me, I take care of you.
Awesome, and that website is going across the bottom of the screen for those of you watching this on our YouTube channel or streaming live with us now. For those of you who get this on your podcast app, it will be in the podcast notes. Grant, thanks again for taking some of your time. I guess it's daytime there, I believe.
We're coming in the morning.
Yeah, it's tomorrow there in Thailand. Enjoy the rest of your day there. I loved it when I went there, so have a great day. And again, thanks for sharing your knowledge with the Misfit Nation.
Thank you, and God bless all of you. I really appreciate it, big time.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Rick.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all of our past episodes and get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.